put this slide up to bring it back to what started this whole teach-in. This is a picture of the protesters in New York this weekend, and protests have really spread around the world. I wanted to point out that Occupy Wall Street is not just in New York City, and it's not just in front of the banks. Occupy Wall Street represents a movement made up of real people, like you and I, who have mobilized to make a statement. We can't keep going on with the status quo, allowing giant corporations and financial institutions to take over our economy and our government. Some of you might think that this teach-in is calling for radical change. The truth is that our economy has been undergoing radical change for the past 40 years. We have moved from an economy focused on production, on the buying and selling of goods and services, to one driven by excessive consumption and financial speculation. We have shifted from a middle-class America to a plutocracy, an unprecedented concentration of wealth and the political power that comes with it. Radical change is already happening. At this teach-in, we've presented a conservative vision of return to the values of the past, when Americans worked hard, invested in the future, when we believed in paying our own way, and when family and community took precedence over mindless consumption. Is that radical change? Our goal is to guide change in a direction that brings shared prosperity and justice for this and future generations. We must shift from an economy dependent on fossil fuels to one based on the careful stewardship of renewable energy. We must shift from an economy that depletes our inherited fund of natural resources to one based on maintaining and restoring healthy ecosystems. We must protect and share the benefits created by society as a whole, not allow them to be appropriated by private enterprises. But how do we make that change? How do we achieve our goals? Donella Meadows, scientist and author of Limits to Growth, pointed out that a small shift in one thing can produce big changes in everything. She believed that we know where these shifts are, and by hitting the right leverage points, we can guide change in the desired direction. So first, change the rules that guide the system. Businesses, banks, and government exist to serve us, not the other way around. And it's our responsibility as citizens to keep them in check. The solutions presented today, reclaiming our money system, repossessing our common assets, and restructuring taxation, are just a few of the ways we can change the system to meet our needs, not those of Wall Street. 2, make genuine progress the goal. Our current economy is based on models which focus on growth as the primary goal. But is that really our biggest aspiration? Shouldn't we measure what matters? Instead of perpetual growth of GNP, what if our goals were shared prosperity and justice, meaningful, fulfilling jobs, and rich, rewarding lives? 3, recognize what is physically and ecologically possible. We live on a resilient, yet finite planet in which material consumption cannot expand forever. We cannot rely on economic growth to solve our problems, to end poverty, or to provide the resources to clean up our environment. Continuous economic growth is impossible as well as undesirable. We came here today to share ideas, but more importantly, to start the conversation about practical solutions to problems we all recognize. I'm new to this too, but I think it's an important conversation and I want to be a part. As the poet Gil Scott-Heron once wrote, "The revolution will not be televised." He meant that these shifts start in your mind, rethinking the goals of our economy and society. Think about some of the things you've heard today It's okay if you don't remember everything, but grab onto a few new ideas and take it home with you. Look them up, talk to your friends and family. You and I and the people who spoke here today and the protesters in New York, we're the 99%. Let's move this conversation forward.